Alright, now that we've got 2 huge tournaments out of the way for the new set, I'm ready to declare my personal top tournament deck pick. And that's going to be the new Rare Candy Charizard EX using Stoke and Incineroar EX deck. The first huge 400-person tournament of Celestial Guardians had this deck winning #1 overall in the tournament. It was the champion deck. And then at the second massive 1,000-person tournament, it almost did it again, coming in at 3rd place and 9th place. All 3 of these decks use the exact same list, which I just shown, and I'm going to show here again in a second. And I felt so confident about this list that I decided to go ahead and try my hand. I entered the next Frog EX tournament today. And so I put my money where my mouth is. I brought this deck with me, played it. This was the first match of the tournament. We're going to go ahead and look at a couple matches. As I explain my thoughts on why I think it's the best deck right now for tournaments, the matchups, my opinions of the card choices, and things like that. So here for the first match of the tournament, we were up against kind of a standard, I think you're going to be seeing a lot of this now, it's this Rockruff and Rampardos deck. If you watch here, I actually kind of went back and forth a little bit on whether or not I should play that second Charmander or not. There weren't really any too crazy decisions here early on, but you do get to know the opponent's deck list in these tournaments, and they were running both an Iono and a Mars. So a lot of times in these early couple terms of these tournament matches, the only real choice is, okay, well, if they have an Iono or a Mars in their deck, how much do I want to play out of my hand or how much do I want to save? The reason I actually saved some of the stuff into my hand was because I was thinking, okay, well, if they have an Iona, it would be better for me if I can keep more cards in my hand. Whereas if they have a Mars, which they did, then, well, I might get kind of destroyed. But in the end, I actually did pretty well and managed to draw the Rare Candy and the Charizard and a Charmeleon. The path I went was kind of like a little bit of a best of both worlds, but I actually think those are some of the most tough decisions in the game, to be honest. What do y'all think? I actually think some of the first turns of a lot of these matches are the ones that have the most thought. If you really want to play perfectly and optimal, a lot of the times as the game goes longer, I feel like the choices don't really matter so much, or there aren't really any choices anymore. This particular match was one that I feel like this doesn't happen a whole lot. I have played this deck a fair amount. I went on a 7-game win streak that I showed a couple matches of in a previous video. When I played it in ranked, I only played 7 matches and I won all 7, and then I've got these tournament matches. The 20 damage Charmander into the 40 damage is able to kill a lot of these 60 HP guys running around. The inclusion of the Charmeleon is still going to be one that I'm going to keep in mind and probably talk about quite a bit, to be honest, because I'm still kind of wondering about that Charmeleon. A lot of the times when I end up with the Pokemon communication, I'm always feeling like, okay, if that Charmeleon wasn't in there, then I'd have a lot better shot actually of getting what I want from the Pokemon communication when I like need to hit the right thing exactly at the right time. Ultimately, in the end, this first tournament match pretty much showcases pretty well how the deck is going to play out in most games. You're going to start with a pretty standard setup. You get one of your basics out. Obviously, you're just then searching for the Rare Candy, hoping, I would say probably in most matches, well, this is why you play 2 Charizard EX, because you're hoping to get that Charizard. Get a quick Stoke off. Ideally, as soon as you get a chance, you Stoke, and then you're hitting for 150 every turn. Next, I want to talk about why do I think this is such a good deck for tournaments right now, or even the best. That's my personal opinion. For me, it's because of how Charizard EX pairs up against most of the top tournament decks, the most played decks, and the ones that are doing well in the top 8s. First up is the Solgaleo EX deck. Now, this seemed like it was going to be everywhere, although I'm not so sure anymore if you're going to be seeing it everywhere. But I'm sure you're going to still be running into it, and if you want to play this deck in ranked, then definitely you're going to be running into it. To me here, it should be very clear to see why Charizard EX pairs so well against Solgaleo EX. When you get that 20 extra damage from the super effective, you're dealing 170, they're taking 10 damage, they have pretty much no way to kill you in one shot, and with your lilies, you're able to lily up to prevent that 50 damage that they probably already dealt you from adding with the 120 to get a kill on you. Now, if they get the Skarmory early and you stumble at all and they're hitting you twice for 50 damage, then I feel like it's going to be tough. I don't know for sure what the win rate is going to be against these 2 decks. I'll have to keep testing it out to see, but I feel like it should be a good matchup. What do y'all think? Okay, second, we have Darkrai still running around everywhere paired with Giratina EX, and there's just Giratina EXs all over the place as well. Once again, Giratina EX, 150 HP. We're dealing 150. We have 180. All the numbers seem to be working out right, at least for me in my head. Darkrai is the same thing, 140 HP. Seems like a great matchup between these 2 EXs. It seems like Charizard EX should pretty much always come out on top. Obviously, I'm oversimplifying a lot here because the matchups are a little bit more complicated. It'll require a lot more testing of these different matchups, but this is where I'm getting my current thoughts from. Next, we got a few different flavors of grass decks. In that first tournament, we saw a lot in the upper ranks, not so much in the second tournament. And you're seeing a lot of, for example, Meowscarada. Once again, amazing. On paper, the numbers seem to work out really well with us pretty much always going to be able to get that kill. Even if they use the special grass cape to add the plus 30 HP, we're still going to be one-shotting, whereas the Meowscarada, nope, no shot, and it's taken 2 energy to get there. And all of the other various grass decks, we at least have that super effective advantage. Speaking of super effective, where are all the water decks? The only water Pokemon I've really seen run a lot is going to be Greninja paired alongside like a Snorlax, maybe Snorlax and Giratina. I already said Giratina seems like a pretty solid pairing, right? Greninja, okay. Maybe if they can get it out fast enough, it might deal some damage. We'll have to see how that goes. But aside from this, we're not really seeing a whole lot of water out there, so we don't have to worry so much about that bad matchup. And again, with the Snorlaxes that are coupled with these Greninjas, we're one-shotting most likely. Again, it has 140 HP. And finally, we have these pesky Rampardos decks. I don't play them, so for me, they're pesky. And man, I don't know. In all the tournament matches I've played so far over the last week, I entered 2 tournaments, and out of my 5 losses, 4 of them were to Rampardos. All the other matches were victories, basically. I get the sense that it's probably going to be whoever is able to get 2 triple evolutions is going to win this matchup, but I'm going to need more testing. I'm not sure. Again, what do you all think about this matchup for this deck? You don't really see Rampardos in the higher up areas of the tournament so much, but again, I played 4 matches against it already, so lower down in the tournaments, you're going to have to be able to beat them, it looks like. So let's wrap up this video with a couple more tournament matches from today, including this first one, which was honestly maybe the most insane match I've ever had in a tournament, maybe just ever playing this game. I don't know. You get to decide, I guess, but it was absolutely insane. Looking at the opponent's deck list when the match started, I was feeling pretty good because I knew they didn't have any hand destruction, which I like in this deck. And they were playing a grass deck. We got the super effective matchup. Here I really debated for quite a while whether I should do this attack with this Charmander or not. I honestly think it's a complicated enough choice that it kind of makes sense I wasn't able to fully analyze it because I'm not sure what I'm going to end up drawing into. I'm not sure if I'm going to end up hitting the Charizard EX or the Incineroar EX. Thinking back through it, basically the way that I should have thought is, okay, if I get the Charizard EX, then I'm going to stoke and then I'm going to get guaranteed one-shots. And I think the reason that I went ahead and went for the attack was because I was assuming I was actually in a potentially pretty bad position here, depending on how much I was going to stumble, and I was going to have to count on probably an Incineroar EX. But even in that case, I think I actually have to go pretty far forward in the calculations to think that I need to go ahead and build it up to 3 energies. So I actually did probably need that energy, but those are actually, again, I think those are like some of the most complex analyses you have to do in these matches is the first 1 to 2, maybe 3 turns. And here I'm thinking, okay, I'm definitely dead because, you know, he's getting 2 attacks in a row with the Celebi, and yep, I was indeed dead. This was my second match of the tournament. I showed you the first one, which I won, and I'm thinking, all right, there's pretty much no way I can win this here at this point. But of course, you always gotta play to your outs and play to any possible chance you have of winning, and so that was what I did. My opponent was also playing the rare candy to get the Superior as well as one of the middle form evolutions, as you can see. And here I'm thinking, okay, well, this is definitely game over at this point. And oh, no, okay, got lucky there. And I managed to keep my Litten, but there's just absolutely no way I could possibly make it out of this match alive. Managed to draw the Incineroar right when I need it, but again, of course, there's just no way I'm going to be able to tank all these hits. But because I dodged that last one, which is where that just insane luck happened, I actually was able to build up to the 3 energy one-shot, and now my opponent pretty much has no chance all of a sudden. So that absolutely insane coin flip part just totally saved my butt, and in the end, Celebi and Superior, I just don't think it's probably as good as the other decks in the meta right now. Celebi with its 130 HP dies to the Rampardos in one shot. Yeah, I'm just not sure about that. But I do think this looks like a pretty fun deck for anybody that really wants to play a grass deck and like Celebi. You can probably still get a little more use out of it now before the meta keeps getting, you know, better and better with every set, small power creep. And let's go ahead and wrap up with my third victory, which was in round 4, which was, I believe, a card for card mirror match. I feel like this deck in a mirror match is probably going to pretty much be a coin flip. Since this current list is running red, I went ahead and play the cape out now, because also there's like a chance that we could somehow both totally miss and this could be some kind of like Charmander race or something. This happens with this deck a lot as you're playing it. At the moment, I look like I am absolutely going to lose this match. I am totally dead. But drawing right into the Pokemon communication, I think this is probably another reason why I left that Charmander in my hand. The deck does also run Iono, so it was probably a combination of those two reasons. You know, you never know, like, okay, is my opponent going to Iono or is my opponent going to red guard? Since I ended up having a red card, I went ahead and threw their 4 cards back in as well. You don't really know what they have, but it takes them from 4 to 3, so of course there's just no reason not to do it, and it probably did wreck my opponent, but I don't know if the opponent can actually come back from a situation like this. It's like whoever gets that first Charizard EX stokes up. I don't know if the other person can actually come back. And so now to finalize and wrap up the video, let's go through the deck list one more time, card by card. I'm going to start on top left to bottom right. I'll go quick here and talk about the cards. They've got the split Charmanders. Everybody's been running this exact list. I don't know if people are actually thinking about why they're running the split Charmander. I think the most likely is just somebody does well with the deck list and then everybody just copies it. I feel like this just can't be right. I kind of covered some of this in one of my last videos, but so some of this may be a little repetitive, but I feel like these two Charmanders, like it has to be either one or the other. I feel like this can't be the correct way to run this deck, because it's not like you enter into situations where like I'm always choosing like, ooh, I get to choose which Charmander I want to attack with based on the situation. It doesn't really happen. It's always like, okay, you're going to end up with the random one that you got that match who's attacking. You don't choose. So it should be one of these should be correct and the other should be incorrect, in my opinion. I don't know which one's correct though. Charmeleon, I've said this before, I'm wondering about the Charmeleon. It does seem like this deck is actually extremely well tuned, so I'm assuming it's probably right to have it in there, but I do wonder sometimes with the Pokemon communication, like I could take out the Charmeleon, put a second Pokemon communication in there, but then you'd be relying on, you have to draw both rare candies if you want to get 2 different triple evolutions, so I don't know, maybe this is just correct, but I'm still wondering about that. Charizard EX, of course it's going to be in there, 1 Litten, 1 Incineroar EX, of course. Professor's Research, Lily has been amazing. Iono at 1. It seems like a well-tuned deck. Red, I actually saw, I think it was Tilly TCG talking about this deck and said maybe there should be like a Guzma in this deck, so maybe that red could get switched out. I actually thought that seemed like a pretty good idea, because you do run into a lot of these situations where you need that extra 20, and a lot of times it's because of a tool. We just talked about all the different decks and the Pokemon that this pairs up so well against, but sometimes if they have a cape on it, that's where you need the red, and so the Guzma would do exactly the same thing, but it would also do things like interfere with Skarmories and other things. Pokeball obviously going to be 2, rare candy 2. Obviously, Pokemon communication has felt very good to me at 1. Red card at 1 has seemed pretty good to me as well. Red cards are so hard to judge because I never know if it's like destroying my opponent or not. So it's always so hard for me to judge, but let's just say, okay, let's leave it in for now. And then the 1 giant cape has also felt pretty good so far to me as well. So with that, I'll just do a quick shout out to everybody. Thank you for leaving all these really nice comments and supporting. I know it's a brand new channel, but people have been really amazing, really supportive. So thank you. And shout out to all the new subscribers. I'm going to keep pumping these videos out, try to keep them as high quality as I can. Please let me know how I can improve the videos. And of course, if you like this format, if you're into the competitive and tournament scene, I'm going to keep putting these tournament matches out there and playing ranked and grinding. So let me know what you think and subscribe if you're into that kind of content. See you later.